Story 1. January. Submit plans to HEWA Design Committee for a swimming pool. Given the OK and told the project looks beautiful. Lead developer actually contacts the pool builder for a pool of his own. March. Landscaper comes to me asking if my neighbors can have some limestone steps built alongside their house, but would come into my property by about 4 feet. Knowing that I'm building a pool and landscaping with it, as well as a fence, I say no. He comes back a bit later saying they would like to buy a sliver of my land so they can have their steps. I say no again, though I considered giving them a purposely ridiculous price. They ask him to ask me to sell the land a few more times, until I finally tell him they need to approach me directly, instead of sending a poor landscape salesman to negotiate. Quick backstory on the neighbors. He's on our state's Board of Regents, and is the president of the company my father worked for 35 years. My dad was a sales rep, and used to be on commission. One year, the sales team knocked it out of the park, many of them taking home 6 figures. The next year, they were all put on salary. On one occasion, my dad asked for a raise, and my neighbor denied him, saying, "We've looked at your situation, and decided you make enough for a family of your size in this area." Meanwhile, my neighbor lives in a gigantic mansion. Fast forward to now. I live in one of the nicest neighborhoods in my town, have worked super hard to get where I am, and wasn't born with a silver spoon. When my neighbors moved in, they have reminded me several times that they're downsizing, whatever. They love their smaller lot because it's easier to maintain. They know who my dad is, but I'm not sure if they know we aren't exactly too fond of them for trying to keep their workforce from becoming as successful as they could. Basically, I'm not giving these people anything. August. Pool gets completed, and I have the fence built. That very evening, I can see the neighbors in their sunroom looking at my yard, and their body language is not positive. A couple days later, one of the contractors working on the pool tells me he thinks the neighbors aren't happy with my fence. Someone pulled up in a truck and started taking pictures of it, etc. Of course they aren't. Their downsized house is so close to the edge of their lot. My fence doesn't give them a lot of room. The HOA requires 3 feet of clearance off the property line. The fence is so close to their house, I actually become concerned that it's on their property line. I order a survey, and it comes back saying I'm clear by 5.5 feet in the front and 10 feet in the back. Phew. Same night I get the survey results, the head of the HOA calls me and tells me the fence is on the property line and I have to move it. I say, actually, I was concerned it was less than 3 feet away, so I had a surveyor verify its position, and it's actually 5 and 10 feet away. He seemed surprised, but also fairly skeptical, so I have the surveyor forward the results, and he emails me asking me to have them put stakes in the ground over the property pins, so he can see for himself. As I was taking the trash out this morning, I was greeted by the surveyors. They asked me if I was having neighbor problems, and I quickly explained they thought the fence was on their property, and was just as quickly reassured that I was good to go. Anyway, the neighborhood block party and HOA meeting are being hosted at the neighbor's house later this month, and I'm not sure whether I should show up and act like a smug jerk, or just throw a pool party in my own yard at the same time. Story 2. So this happened a while ago. I had to deliver some of our company's products from one worksite to another multiple times. I usually arrived before the other employees started their work, so I figured I could unload my car already in order to save my coworkers time and for me to not be interrupted during my work later during the day. Plus, I was the one who knew which products were ordered by which customer, so I didn't have to spend time on figuring out which belongs to which custom, since I was the one who loaded everything into the car. So I put all the loose products for each customer from the trunk on a separate Europallet, pushed it into our workshop with a pallet truck, put the delivery notices on each of them, and left them in a visible place for my coworker to move them wherever he wanted whenever he wanted without much hassle or manpower needed. When he arrived and started working, I went up to him and told him what products arrived and for which customer these were in order to make sure he knows about the orders as well. Since I didn't know where to put the pallets, I placed them into the workshop via the pallet truck because I didn't want these products to stay outside and opening up an opportunity for passers-by to steal the company's products. After I did this same procedure twice, he came up to me and gave me a 10-minute lecture about how it could possibly come to my mind to make such a huge mess in the workshop. He criticized that I put the products in the wrong place, messed up his storage system, and that the products fell off the Euro pallets all the time, which is funny because it didn't happen when I used the pallet truck to bring them into the workshop. As such, he declared I'm not allowed to unload the car again. A week later, we received a huge order with over 2 tons worth of products. I had 560 kilograms of different products customized but not packaged in my trunk. As per his request, I didn't unload the car. At some point, he came up to me and asked me to unload the car. My response: no, I'll just make a huge mess in the workshop. And we don't want the products to fall off from the pallets. You should just do it by yourself. His face when he realized he had to sort it all out himself and manually unload it was quite funny. It was even better when he noticed I couldn't bring a delivery notice because the order wasn't complete yet. Thus, he had to check every single product and write down what products arrived in which quantity already, all by himself. Of course, I knew the quantities, but he didn't ask me. That 5-minute task easily took him half an hour to do. Story 3. Now, I don't know if the Karen of this story has woken up that morning on the wrong side of the bed, or she's always been a horrific human being, but what she did, it can't be forgiven, period. It all started one morning when I decided to head to Walmart to buy a stroller for my baby, since the one we've had so far started to give us a hard time lately. We tried our best to fix whatever went wrong with it, but it was just too much to handle. And to be honest, it's understandable, it wasn't new. This stroller was in the family for so long, it was about time to give it a medal and let it enjoy retirement after so many years in service. Anyways, it was intended to be a quick purchase. Get in, grab a stroller, check out, hop into my car and drive back home to my sweet baby that was being watched at the time by his older sister until I got back with his new stroller. And that's exactly what I did. In less than 15 minutes, I was in and out with a brand new stroller I was pushing in front of me to my car parked in the store parking lot. So far so good. But it all started when I reached my car and found a woman blocking me in with her SUV, even though there were plenty of free spaces around for her to park in any of them. "Hi there, do you mind letting me out?" I ask her while pointing to my car. She gives me a condescending look, then looks back into her phone. "That's my car back there, and if you don't mind, I'd like to leave now," I politely told her. Didn't even look at me this time and completely ignored my existence. I have been suffering from anger issues for a long time, but the moment I knew I was pregnant for the first time, I started seeking help to get rid of it, or at the very least control it somehow. And thankfully, I got over that crisis by a huge margin, and so far I've had almost zero problems caused by that dark side of me. So knowing I shouldn't let anger get the best of me in that situation, I decided to stay as calm as I could be and try to resolve this issue without getting exposed to more provocation from that idiot woman. So I walked past her car and into the security guard booth in the parking lot and let the guy over there know what's been happening, and that I would like him to come over and get this woman to move so I could leave and get back home to my children. He understood and walked back with me to where I was parking to try and resolve this situation. By this time, I was still to this point, pushing the stroller I just bought right in front of me the whole time. I couldn't really reach my car to even put that thing in it. So yeah, I've been pushing it throughout the entire altercation. The security guard walks up to Karen in her car and tells her, "Hi ma'am, do you mind moving your car so this lady could get into hers over there and be on her way? It's illegal anyways to stop where you are, and now that it's even bothering other people on top of it, I have to ask you to move your car and let her out. And please, feel free to park wherever you'd like as long as it's in a properly dedicated parking spot." I don't know what triggered it, but all I know is that the ice-cold woman that was giving me zero attention earlier started boiling and turning red the moment the guard told her to move her car so I could get out with mine. She didn't say a single word to us, even though we could really feel the daggers she's staring at us at this point. Then she finally started properly reacting to our very reasonable, polite request, or so we thought, and still, without saying a thing, reversed her car a bit. It was still tight for me to get out, but I'll take it. I'll try my best. I started pushing my stroller towards my car, while the nice security guard sincerely offered to help me put my stroller into my car. And while we were having a small conversation whether to put it in the trunk or would it fit better on the back seat, Karen decided to let her demons take over and pushed her gas pedal and ran both of us over with her car. Neither of us lost consciousness, and thankfully the stroller softened the hit we both took a bit. Especially as I realized later that she hit the brakes the moment she made contact with both our bodies. The security guard had it worse than me, poor guy, but the worst part was that the stroller was crushed, completely destroyed. Of course, I don't mean that a mere stroller is much more important to me than both my life and this poor guy's life. But the moment I realized that this woman had no freaking idea that this stroller was in fact empty, and that she probably did what she did thinking that my baby was inside that stroller, I saw red. Remember the anger issues that I mentioned above that I suffered from in the past? Yeah, in that exact moment, those past anger issues felt like a child's toy compared to the boiling emotions that engulfed me right then and there. And it was getting fueled by one solid question. What if my baby was actually in that stroller when that woman decided to run us over with her massive car? And once I realized the answer to that question, I snapped. I charged towards her car door, but before I could reach it, she seemed to be in the midst of opening it to check for the damages herself. But I didn't wait for her to get out of the car. I grabbed her hair and dragged her out, threw her on the ground and started swinging like a mad person. I definitely wasn't in my right mind at that moment, and I feel like I snapped back to reality in the ambulance getting treated by the EMS right before I passed out completely. I woke up in the hospital the next day, with my husband and daughters right next to my bed. Then my husband filled me in regarding what happened, right after the doctors assured him that my condition was stable and that I was lucky to leave an accident like that with just bruises and minor cuts. After I started wailing on that woman in that parking lot, more security guards rushed to the scene and pulled me off of her until the cops and EMS arrived. All three of us left in ambulances, including the Karen that ran us over, because I may or may not have broken her nose and left her with more cuts on her face than I ended up having myself. After further investigation and the statements I and the injured security guard gave to the detectives and the CCTV footage that caught the whole thing that happened that day in the parking lot, Karen was charged with attempted murder and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. As for me, I'm back home and gladly surrounded by the people that love me. I may now need to resume my anger management sessions after all I went through and what I did to that woman, but I'm feeling positive that I will get over this as I did in the past. Thank you all for listening to my story. It was a pleasure of mine to share it with all of you. Story 4. I live in a senior housing community for people aged 55 and older. We all have identical one-bedroom cottages that set up in groups of 4 or quads so that all of our front doors face inward toward each other. So, if I open my front door, I have a very clear view of the front doors of my 3 neighbors, and because I am in the back of this quad, I also have a view of the parking area. I think the purpose of grouping the houses this way was to create a friendly and safe atmosphere. However, it's just creepy in a you have no privacy kind of way. I am 57-year-old female, disabled, and have a 16-year-old pickup truck that gets me where I need to go most of the time. If you've ever owned a pickup truck, you'll understand my frustration. If you haven't owned one, talk to anyone who has, and they will tell you that according to friends, family, acquaintances, neighbors, and even complete strangers, you have it so that you can help them move, haul furniture or a tree they cut down, and anything else they can't fit in the trunk of their car. And because it is a pickup truck, it can be mistreated, abused, dented, scratched, beaten up, and treated like a piece of heavy construction equipment, and you shouldn't care because, well, it's a truck. I have a neighbor F about 65 years old that has kind of made a pest of herself since the day I moved in. I've done my best to be neighborly, nice, and accommodating, but each time I interact with her, I'm left feeling used. The neighbor, let's call her Karen, has come over pretending to want to visit with me, which she does for about 2 minutes, and then asks me for something. In the 3 years that I've been here, she's asked me to set up 2 TVs at different times, take a new alarm clock out of its packaging, and then teach her how to operate it. I've been asked to fill out her food stamp paperwork, fill out information for her lease renewal, read a piece of mail to her and explain it because she didn't understand it, to take her places, and to loan her money for the bus. That's just a few. Now that you get the idea of what I've dealt with before, it's time for the story. One Monday morning, Karen comes beating on my door. She does what I call a cop knock, loud, hard, and repeated around 8 a.m., waking me up. I am a night owl, by the way. I go to the door, and she is standing there holding her natural gas bill, telling me how she needed a ride to the gas company's office to talk to them about paying the bill, and hands me the bill. I look at it, hoping to find a phone number for her to call, but there isn't one. But I do see that her bill is for about $17. So, I took her across town with her, providing the directions. Since I had never been to this building, the gas company did not have an office in town, so I guess this was maybe a payment center. I drop her at the front, park, and wait for her. Karen comes out saying that they can't help her there, and asks me if she should just call them to make arrangements to make payments since she doesn't have the money. I tell her that's what I would do and bring her back home. We basically made this trip for nothing. 2 days later, there is another loud, repeated banging on my door, waking me up just before 9 a.m. Karen is back, and seems to be a little frantic. She needs a ride again. This time she's very vague about why she wants to go, but left me with the impression that something was going to get turned off, repossessed, or turned over to collections if she didn't go. She's also vague as to where she wants to go. She keeps telling me that it's down by the casino, across the street from the gas station. I told her I'd take her, but she would have to point me in the right direction since I've never been to the casino. She gives me turn-by-turn directions until she has me turn left onto the entrance road for the casino. I'm looking around for any other businesses or even the gas station, and I'm not seeing anything other than the casino in front of us and open land on either side. So, I ask her where am I supposed to be dropping her. Karen points to an upcoming sign and says, "See the sign that says valet? Just follow that sign." Yep, you guessed it. Karen had me drop her at the front entrance to the casino. She'd lied to me by omission. She didn't ask me to take her to the casino, which I would probably have done since it's none of my business how she spends her money. She asked me to take her to a business near the casino. Yeah, well, I wasn't happy. On Monday, she couldn't afford to pay her $17 gas bill, and on Wednesday, she's going to the casino by tricking me into taking her. A week goes by, and I am in the office paying my rent when Karen comes in. "Karen, why didn't you tell me you were coming here today?" "Girl, I just walked all the way here." "Me, didn't know you needed a ride. I can give you a ride back to the house if you would like." I wait while Karen pays her rent, and we walk out together. Now, I'm expecting to get in my truck and drive the 4 blocks back to my house. Karen had another idea. "Karen, take me to Everything's Cheap store." "Me, where?" "Karen, to Everything's Cheap. Just turn here at the stop sign and I'll show you. It's not far." "Me, Karen, I'm going to take you there, but I'm not shopping and I'm not going to sit in the parking lot and wait for you. You'll have to get another ride home or walk." "Karen, it's fine. I won't be long." I drop her at the front door and I go home. A couple of hours later, she bangs on my door. "Karen, where did my ride go?" "Me, home. I told you that I wasn't going to wait for you." "Karen, I had all my stuff that I had to carry home. Now my back hurts." "Me, I'm sorry, but I warned you." Karen walks away, muttering things that I didn't understand, and slammed her door. Skip ahead several months, and I run into Karen again as I am paying my rent. She wants me to give her a ride to the Social Security office. I tell her that I can't as my truck is not running right, and I can't get too far from home in it until I get it checked out and fixed. My truck started having issues, and it's been difficult trying to get it fixed with lockdown. A back issue that left me bedridden for several weeks. And 2 major hurricanes this year. There's nothing major wrong with the truck, just needs a new starter and gaskets to fix an oil leak that's caused the starter to go bad. Karen, but it's just a few blocks away, and it's hot out here. Me, I can't trust my truck not to leave me stranded with no way to get it home. Karen, it will be fine. Me, maybe, but I'm not willing to risk it. Karen slaps the side of my truck and continues on her walk, and I go home in my truck. Another 3 days go by and more banging on my door, and again, I am awakened. It's 7:15 am. This time I'm angry, and I snatch the door open. Me, what? Karen standing there with her purse and house keys in her hand, as if she knows I'll say yes. I need to go to the mattress store. I need to pick up my new queen-size mattress. Me, no. My truck still isn't running right. Karen, but I need your truck to haul the mattress home. Me, no. Karen, it's not a heavy mattress. Me, oh, so who's going to help you get it in and out of my truck and carry it into your house? Karen, the 2 of us can do it. Me, Karen, I have degenerative disc disease. The discs in my spine are disintegrating. I can't lift or carry a mattress even with someone helping. Karen, but I already bought it. How am I going to get it home? Me, call friends or family to help you. Karen, they don't have a truck and you do. Me, yes, I have a truck, but there is no sign anywhere on it that says free moving company. I close the door on her and go back to bed. An hour later, more knocking. This time, it's an older man. Man 1, excuse me, but is that your truck? He points at my truck in the parking lot. Me, yes. Man 1, I have an upright piano I need to move and was wondering if I could use your truck. Me, no. I glance over at the neighbor's house and I see her peeking through a crack in her door. I have a sneaking suspicion she has put this guy up to this to see if I would help him. Man 1, you can drive the truck. I just need to have the piano hauled to my storage unit. Me, how are you going to get an upright piano into the bed of my truck? Man 1, I'll just roll it up a ramp and into the back. Me, do you know how much an upright piano weighs? 1 person can't push it up a ramp. If you use a ramp on my tailgate, you will break the tailgate and probably lose the piano in the process. My truck is large, but the rear end is not made for hauling a piano and will cause the front end to lift off the ground, preventing my front-wheel drive truck from gaining traction and straining my 16-year-old engine. Man 1, well, could you call 4 or 5 of your male friends to help lift it into the back of the truck? Me, no. I closed the door on this man, too. He didn't come right out and say it, but I felt like he wanted to borrow my truck so he could go pick up the mattress for Karen. Yeah, I'm a little suspicious. The following morning, I ignore the knocking that occurs every half hour or so over a 3-hour period until she finally gives up. Later that afternoon, I opened my door to get the mail out of my box when a second man approached me out of nowhere. It's like he was hiding around the corner waiting for me to come out of my house. Man 2 points at my truck. It irritates me every time someone does this. Is that your truck? Me feeling very annoyed and snarky. What gave it away? Is it because it's parked in a space clearly labeled with my house number? Or is it because someone told you who the truck belonged to? I point at Karen's house. Man 2, does it run? Me, listen, I don't know what you're wanting me to pick up, deliver, move, haul, transport, or tow. But I am not a moving company, taxi, Uber, delivery service, or a tow truck. I won't be doing any of those things, and before you ask, I won't be allowing you or anyone else to drive my truck either. Now, do you have any other questions? Man 2, do you want to sell it? Me, what? Why would I want to sell it? Man 2, well, since it needs fixing, I thought maybe you would want to sell it to someone who could afford to fix it. Me, how do you know it needs fixing? Man 2 turns bright red and can't take his eyes off ground. I just thought if you sold it, you could buy something else and I could fix the truck. Me, tell Karen that I'm not selling you my truck so that you can fix it to give to her. Man 2, I wasn't going to give it to her. Me pointing at his huge truck parked in Karen's designated space. You want me to believe that you would rather have my 16-year-old truck that needs repair than your brand new truck. How stupid do you think I am? As the older man silently stares at the ground, Karen flings her door open and marches up to me. Karen, just sell him your truck so he can fix it. You clearly aren't going to do it anytime soon. At least I will put it to good use. I need it, and I need it more than you apparently do. Now, he's willing to get it fixed for me, so just sell him the truck already. Me, my truck is not for sale. When or if I get my truck fixed is absolutely none of your business. Karen, I'm going to call the office and tell them that you have a broken-down truck sitting in the parking lot that needs to be hauled to the junkyard. They'll make you get rid of it or fix it. Man too, Karen, they can't do anything to her. Karen cuts him off. She's so angry, she's crying, shaking, and spitting as she screams. Karen, shut up. Stay out of this. I want that truck, and I'm going to get it. I'll call the police. They will make her get rid of it. Man too, Karen, the police aren't. She cuts him off again. Karen, yes, they will. They'll listen to me. She storms off to call the police. In the meantime, I brought a chair outside along with a can of soda and a bowl of microwave popcorn. I figured this was going to be a good show. Karen and Man too have gone inside her house to wait. The neighbor to my left has come out to see what's going on. Let's call her Mary. Mary can't stand Karen, so she drags a chair out and sits next to me, and we share my popcorn. Enter Cop 1 and Cop 2. The cops arrive in about 5-6 minutes and walk up to Karen's door and knock, while glancing around at Mary and me and grinning. She answers and tells them that I have created an eyesore in the neighborhood by having an old beat-up, broken-down truck sitting in the parking lot, and she wants it removed immediately. Cop 1 pointing at my truck, yep, he does it, too, and I can't help but roll my eyes. That truck? Karen, yes. Cop 1, that truck is clean, shiny, no dents, no scratches, new tires. Are you sure that's the eyesore? Karen, yes. It's 10 years old and broken, and she doesn't want to fix it. It's just sitting there doing nothing for months. Me, it's 16 years old. Cop 2 spins around, surprised. Seriously? That truck is that old? Wow, it's in great shape. You've taken good care of her. Me, thank you. Karen, I want that truck gone. Cop 2 walks over to me to discuss my truck's mechanical history. So, I explained to him that in the 16 years that I have owned her, I have changed her oil every 3-4 months, given her a bath once a month, got her a new set of tires 6 years ago, and when I first began having problems with her starting, I bought a new battery. The old one was the original battery from when I bought the truck off the showroom floor. And when the battery wasn't the problem, I had a mechanic come and look at it. He determined that it was the starter and the gasket was leaking. All I was waiting on was my friend to come and help me start her. Someone needs to get under the truck and tap the starter while someone else turns over the ignition so that I can get it to the mechanic's house for him to work on it. Karen, she's lying. That truck hasn't moved in 3 months. Me offering popcorn to Cop 2 who took a handful, wrong. It hasn't moved in 4 days. It's had problems for 3 or 4 months. Cop 1, Miss Karen, there really isn't anything the police department can do for you. Her truck definitely isn't an eyesore, nor is it sitting there in pieces creating a safety hazard. Karen, she's driving down property values. Cop 1 starts chuckling. Miss Karen, you are renting a house in government-subsidized senior housing. Cop 2, why don't you tell us the real reason why you want her truck removed? Mary, who has been silent until now, stands up and turns on her best diva soul sister voice and attitude and gives the cops the greatest deep south beautiful black woman sermon I've ever heard. I'll try to write as best I can. Oh God, help us all. Dis here, woman of the night, wants everything she can't have. Lord, I think it's 'cause she pulls her hair back so tight. Lord, she can only see what's in the back of her mind. She wants her old saggy boy toy of the day here to buy my friend's pick-em-up truck, so she can go and pick him up. Lord, if you getting what I'm saying? He buys it and trades it to her for a little roll on her nasty sheets. Lord, help us. And she thinks she all hot and sexy, so you believe her and take away my friend's truck. She a fool, She thinks she can fool you, too, How the hell do you think she got those two big TVs in there? Cop 1 is bent over laughing hysterically, while Cop 2 is standing with his mouth open and his eyes wide. Cop 2 turns to Man 2. Is any of that true? Man 2 embarrassed, humiliated, and just looking tired. She wanted the truck and $50. Karen and Man 2 are arrested. Not sure what the exact charges were, but I heard words being thrown around like pandering, solicitation, scamming, and false complaints among others. I haven't seen Karen since then, and I am hoping that I don't. As for my pick-em-up truck, I'm still waiting to get her to the mechanic. My friend will be here on his next day off. He doesn't get them often to help me. It's a good thing I'm a patient person with a super diva as a friend and neighbor. It's also good to know that my truck is at least worth one 20-minute roll on the sheets and $50. Edit. Just a little side note for those of you rolling your eyes at the fact that I offered a cop popcorn and he took it. I live in the deep south in a small-ish college town. The cops here are helpful, friendly until provoked, and generally good guys. When construction workers stole from me after Hurricane Laura, 2 cops came to investigate, and afterwards I offered them both a bottle of water, and they accepted. Story 5. I work at a gas station in Oregon where half the pumps are self-service and the other half are mini-service. Mini-service means that we pump gas for customers but aren't obligated to do anything beyond that, such as cleaning windshields. However, we often go the extra mile and do it when asked, just to be polite. There's a woman who comes in nearly every day, buying $5 or $10 worth of gas, and always asking us to clean her windshield. She never tips and seems to enjoy the control, like it's her small power trip. On her last visit, it was raining, but she still smugly asked me to clean her windshield. Since I take customer service seriously, I did it. But afterward, I wondered why I was making the effort for someone who is neither polite nor appreciative. Today, the same woman showed up, handed me $9 for gas, and once again asked me to clean her windshield with that familiar smug look. I agreed but got caught up with other tasks since the station was suddenly busy, with 8 cars at the pumps. I apologized and explained I couldn't clean her windshield at that moment due to the crowd. She got upset and demanded I stop pumping her gas, which meant I needed to refund her change since she had paid in cash. I went inside and told my coworker I needed change for the customer at pump 2. To add a little twist, I asked him to include 50 loose pennies along with the bills. He gave me a puzzled look, but once I explained who the change was for, he quickly complied. Since we don't always have our own till open during shifts, we often need to wait in line at the convenience store attached to the station to get change. As I was waiting, the woman came inside, glaring at the other customers, then saw me and returned to her car. Her impatience was already clear when I came back out. I handed her the $3 in bills and followed it with a cascade of loose pennies and a few nickels. "Sorry, we're short on silver," I said with a polite smile. The look on her face was priceless, a mixture of disbelief and irritation. She stammered something that sounded like it belonged in a cartoon, but was too flustered for me to understand. She was still muttering as she drove away. I can only hope this discourages her from returning. But if she does come back, it seems we may once again face an unfortunate shortage of silver change. These are challenging economic times, after all.